Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. I had never once questioned my decision to help Ricky. Not when I transferred the first $1,200. Not when he called, his voice heavy with stress, saying they were falling behind on mortgage payments. Not even when Angel sent me a teary voicemail, thanking me for my generosity. I had believed every word. It wasn't until that night, our mother's birthday dinner, that the ground beneath my feet began to crack. The restaurant was warm with laughter, silverware clinking against plates, glasses of wine raised in celebration. I had just stepped away from the table, weaving through the crowd toward the restroom, when a familiar voice caught my ear. Ricky. I paused, half hidden behind a marble column, the dim lighting concealing me. He was laughing, really laughing, the kind that made your stomach hurt. Can you believe it? He said, amusement lacing his voice. Brian actually thinks he's helping us survive, like we'd be homeless without him. I felt something in my chest tighten. Angel giggled. I know, it's pathetic. He's so desperate to feel needed. Poor guy, doesn't even have a life of his own, so he clings to ours. Their words sliced through me like glass. My stomach churned. You're terrible. Another voice chimed in, one of their friends, I assumed. But there was no disapproval in her tone, just amusement. Angel sighed dramatically. I mean, let's be real. He's pushing 40, still single, no real ambition. Just a boring little man throwing his money away because he has nothing better to do with it. Ricky snickered. And he thinks we're struggling. Man, I make more in a month than he does in 3. But hey, if he wants to play the role of big brother savior, who am I to stop him? A slow chill spread through my limbs. $1,200 a month, every month, for 2 years. And this was what they thought of me. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to breathe. My pulse pounded in my ears, anger and humiliation mixing into something sharp and cold. I should have confronted them right there, demanded an explanation, but I didn't. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of knowing they had gotten to me. Instead, I turned around, forcing a calm expression onto my face as I returned to the table. I picked up my glass of wine, swirling it slowly, my mind already made up. They would never see another cent from me again, and they had no idea what was coming. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Ricky's name flashing on the screen, right on time. It was the first of the month, and he was expecting his usual $1,200. I let it ring. Once, twice. Then, with a slow breath, I picked up. Hey, Brian. Ricky's voice was light, casual, as if he hadn't mocked me behind my back just hours ago. Can you send the transfer? We've got some bills stacking up this month. I stared at the floor, my jaw tightening. No. Silence. What? Ricky let out a short laugh. What do you mean, no? I leaned against the kitchen counter, gripping the phone tighter. I mean, I'm done, Ricky. No more money. No more help. You're on your own. A beat of silence stretched between us. Then Ricky scoffed. Come on, man. Don't be dramatic. We've got deadlines. If we miss the mortgage, Angel's gonna freak. Then you better use some of that freelancing money you brag about, I said, voice steady. His breath hitched. What? I closed my eyes, picturing the scene from last night, the laughter, the smugness. My stomach twisted, but I kept my tone even. I heard everything, Ricky. At Mom's party, you and Angel, what you really think of me. For the first time in years, Ricky was speechless. You used me, I continue, my voice colder now. Lied to me, mocked me, and you expected me to keep paying your bills? Not happening. Ricky's tone shifted, hardening. You're twisting things, Brian. Whatever you heard, it's not what you think. Save it. I exhaled slowly. We're done. I hung up. For the first time in 2 years, I felt weightless. But I knew Ricky wouldn't give up so easily. And I was right. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again, Mom. I sighed, already knowing what was coming. The real battle had just begun. The knock at my door came earlier than expected, sharp, impatient. I wasn't surprised. Ricky never handled rejection well. I let him knock again before opening. He stood on the porch, arms crossed, anger flickering behind his forced smile. Angel stood slightly behind him, arms folded, Her lips pressed tight. Brian, Ricky started, voice smooth but strained. We need to talk. I leaned against the doorframe, unmoved. I think we already did. Ricky scoffed. No, we didn't. You just cut us off like we're nothing. Angel huffed. Over some stupid misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I repeated, my grip tightening on the doorframe. You called me a loser, a failure, a joke for helping you while I live alone. I glanced between them. That didn't sound like a misunderstanding to me. Ricky's expression darkened. You weren't supposed to hear that, he muttered under his breath. Wow, I let out a humorless chuckle. So the problem isn't that you said it, it's that I found out. Angel stepped forward, her voice softer, sickly sweet. Brian, don't do this. We're family. You know how Ricky talks sometimes. He doesn't mean it. We're under a lot of stress, and you cutting us off like this is necessary, I interrupted. Ricky's jaw clenched. Look, if this is about money, we can work something out. Just co-sign a loan for us and… I laughed, the sound bitter. You think I'm going to put my name on a loan for you? After everything? His mask cracked, frustration bleeding through. Damn it, Brian, you're overreacting. No, I said firmly. I was just done letting you use me. Angel's face twisted with irritation. You're being selfish. I stepped back, hand on the door. And you two are ungrateful. This conversation is over. I shut the door in their faces. Outside, Ricky cursed. Angel muttered something harsh. Then silence. But I knew this wasn't the end. Not yet. The call from Grandma came late in the evening, her voice unusually firm. Brian, I need you to come over. There's something you should see. I almost said I was too tired for more family drama, but something in her tone made me pause. An unease settled in my chest. 20 minutes later, I was in her dimly lit living room. She sat in her favorite chair, an old wooden box resting on her lap. With careful hands, she lifted the lid and pulled out a yellowed envelope. This was from your grandfather, she said, handing it to me. He wrote it years ago, but I never thought I'd need to show it to anyone. Until now. I unfolded the letter, my eyes scanning the words. My breath caught. A trust fund in the amount of $270,000, set aside for the grandchildren, but with a clause. If any grandchild is found to be exploiting family for financial gain, they forfeit their share. The weight of it hit me instantly. Ricky and Angel had no idea this existed, and now, after everything, their betrayal had cost them far more than my monthly checks. Grandma watched me carefully. I didn't want to interfere, Brian, but after what they did, I thought you should know. I exhaled, still processing. So, if I report this, they lose everything. She nodded. It's your decision. I stared at the letter, my grip tightening. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had the upper hand. After Ricky found out about his grandfather's trust fund, he hired an attorney and filed a lawsuit in court. The lawsuit came as a shock. Ricky accused me of financially manipulating him to claim the trust fund, twisting the truth into a web of lies. His lawyer painted me as a scheming villain, while he played the helpless victim. Sitting in the courtroom, I watched as Ricky put on his performance, fake distress, forced humility. Angel sat beside him, her expression cold, as if she were already planning their next move. Then Grandma took the stand. The room fell silent as she spoke, her voice unwavering. Brian only learned of the trust fund last week, she stated, looking directly at the judge. Meanwhile, Ricky and Angel spent 2 years leeching off his kindness while hiding their true financial status. If anyone is guilty of deception, it's them. Ricky paled. His lawyer shuffled his papers, flustered. The tide was turning. The judge ruled in my favor. Ricky was ordered to cover all legal fees. His mask cracked, his face twisted with barely restrained fury. Outside the courthouse, he grabbed my arm. You ruined me, he hissed. I met his glare with calm resolve. No, Ricky, you did that to yourself. Days later, news broke. Ricky's freelancing clients had discovered his unethical practices. His online reputation crumbled. Contracts were revoked. He and Angel, drowning in debt, were forced to sell their home. And me? I walked away lighter than ever. Sometimes, justice wasn't just about winning. It was about watching karma do its job. I watched from a distance as Ricky and Angel packed their belongings into a rusty moving truck. Angel slammed the car door in frustration, while Ricky stood motionless, staring at the ground, shoulders hunched under the weight of his own choices. It was a fitting end. They had spent years taking advantage of me, mocking me behind my back, and assuming my generosity was endless. But life had a way of balancing the scales. They had chopped down the very branch they were sitting on, and now, with no one left to hold them up, they were falling. A part of me wondered if they had learned anything from it. Would Ricky ever admit his greed? Would Angel regret the lies? I doubted it. Some people only understand loss when it's too late to fix. Grandma's words echoed in my mind. True wealth isn't measured in money, but in the people who stand by you when you have nothing. I had lost nothing in this battle, only illusions. I was free from their manipulation, stronger for having walked away. Meanwhile, Ricky and Angel had lost trust and support they had taken for granted. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.